All right. I'm going to have a conversation with white people today. And that is just, I want to say, absolutely ridiculous and absolutely a form of brainwashing, still seeing in color. And really, it's just childish that this is necessary altogether. It's so immature. I mean, there's really no better word for it. Same thinking, you're not like me, I don't like you. So, quote, white people, we're going to have a little conversation today about the Cointelpro. You're going to hear me talk a lot, and you have heard me talk a lot about the African American culture. Now, this is not a misguided focal point. This is the reality, and it deserves light and recognition. And in no way can we talk, discuss, theorize properly about the Cointelpro unless looking, remembering, and drawing from the past and the evidence. And the evidence shows that Cointelpro has used and demonized the black community since the 50s. It's not like people or the Cointel are exclusive to the black community, no. But due to history and facts, the first job of the Cointelpro program was to dissemble the civil rights movement. And that looked in the form of the black community, of course. So if you want to go off and be like, she's focusing on black people too much, you're only hurting yourself, and you're showing really just how few intellectual stripes you actually hold. This is all about racism of all kind, not just the kind of color. White people, if you want to click on the Cointelpro, if you're investigating this and see a black person under the heading and choose not to click on it because you think it doesn't apply to you or your history or it doesn't look like you, I'm going to tell you right now that you are brainwashed, and until you have the intellectual capacity to click and inform yourself, even though you don't see a white person talking or being targeted in the 50s, you will remain brainwashed and conditioned just as the Cointelpro wants you to be. Now that being said, oh wait, there's more. Excuse me. Now, I am white, okay? As a white girl who has lived in the projects, and in my experience, most white people have never been to the projects or the quote ghetto, but yet vote, speak, act as if they have the experience needed and the opinion to form the opinions to sympathize and educate this culture. Let me break down the differences between whites and blacks for you. We'll make it real simple here, okay? Look around. Black people have to live in both cultures simultaneously. Whites, generally, for the most part, live in one general consensus and culture and aren't required by the rat race of the world, life, Illuminati, and the Cointelpro to even run the other half of the hidden maze. It's not even required of you. This is why all white and black people from the projects are bilingual, so to speak. Like, when I come here and talk to you, I have to speak a certain way to let you know I'm actually white. And so it's supposed to be safe to listen to me, right? No matter where I'm from. I know and have lived in both cultures. I moved out here from Brownsville All right, that's Brooklyn. And I see when the ghetto starts to blend with the parkway, the identities, including mine, have to blend and adapt as well. That's something that a lot of us white people don't have any idea or experience about. Until maybe you're a targeted, individual. And you really learn this firsthand, what it's like to be a minority. Who, they have to do this. The individual has to do this in the rat race as a minority so that they are not dismissed by the majority's thinking. Now that that's out of the way, I want to talk a little bit more about the Panthers. We're going to harp on this some more. And how they are not terrorists and neither are targeted individuals. Your government is. Fred Hampton, Black Panther. He helped start a door-to-door medical service, was a leader of many food programs, breakfast programs for kids, and as well as a free medical center. Does this person act like a terrorist? No. What they are really saying when they say you're a terrorist now is that you're an enemy of the state, which actually means the New World Order, because these people are not for the state. That's just something they say. Cointelpro hits. Martin Luther King wasn't, a huge threat till some whites started rallying and aligning with him, and some other radical civil rights groups. JFK, one of the very few politicians who was somewhat sympathetic to the civil rights movement. Malcolm X, Fred Hampton, Bobby Hutton, Mark Clark, and countless other targets whose names we will never know, whose ideas we will never hear. Parties like the Panthers scare people. All right, this is why. Even a lot of the African American culture was scared by the Panthers. Because when people stand up and say things like, the Constitution gives you the right to bear arms, the police aren't protecting our children or our communities, we have the right and the responsibility to protect our kids and ourselves. It's very scary to take the responsibility of protecting yourself into your own hands and not relying on the police and not having that safety net available to you. As a TI, as a target, we know how it feels to live without the assistance of law and even fear the assistance due to our experiences. This is how, of course, minorities have felt about their communities for years. This is the part of the culture a great deal of white people don't understand because they have never had to. All right, so let's rise up, you guys. Let's rise up. It doesn't have to mean violence. I want to talk about psychiatric fraud and the Cointelpro. These go hand in hand. Now, what the Cointelpro have done and how they've shot themselves in the foot is, as a result of targeting so many people, all kinds of people, races, backgrounds, they have inevitably created the melting pot of humanity we need to truly come together. And they made this pot too large now. There is great power in this. The Cointelpro has created a new race and a new racism to go along with it. It's psychiatric racism. Our people, who are our people? Everybody. Our people need peace. And we are prepared to take that peace back that was stripped from us when the Cointelpro stripped us of our civil rights. So really, psychiatry has become just a big business. It's big business at this point as a result of the Cointelpro counterintelligence program. What's happened is the revenue this field and these institutions bring in has greatly outweighed any results of evidence that these institutions work at all. And but they can't allow such a moneymaker to become exposed for the fraud that it is. So they must feed the psychiatric field to keep it alive. They feed it with more patients, quote patients, with more drugs that really just castrate people mentally. Don't actually treat the problem. Now, not allowing awareness of cures or accurate timelines of when these said cures and treatments in fact came about. Now, are there sick people? Yes. As many as they say there are? No. Do our treatments medically and socially effectively and efficiently treat these illnesses? No. It's always a huge debate in our country. Psychiatry has played a role in the ownership and treatment of slaves. This mental illness tactic is not a new one. They have been fooling us into, gaining approval of the general public in the treatment and the abuse of these human beings. And just like the Holocaust began only first through psychiatric racism. Once that was established and accepted, they were able to smooth over even more inhumane tactics and remedies. So yeah, remember they said the blacks having inherited diseases was scientifically proven. Well, we know that's crap. But no one questions the science that was supposedly behind any of that. It's the same science. It's the exact same science that they present you with today. But nobody's linking these two insanities together because the middleman is so elusive. Psychiatric fraud is how the Cointelpro perpetuates racial stereotypes and crushes democracy. It is a pseudoscience, for the most part, for the biggest part. Now, witches, all right? Everyone believed there were witches, right? Because if enough people believe in something, it becomes real. There's that famous quote, never underestimate the power of stupid people in large groups. And so psychiatric fraud even becomes known as a science. It's a science. Psychiatry is considered to be a science. So this is how the fraud and the counterintelligence program disassociates people with science and the word science, and what the evidence of true science actually requires and entails. Now, if you speak out against something that's widely known or believed as fact, then people call you crazy. It's a classic case of you don't think like us. You're bad, you're wrong, you're crazy. I refuse to participate in this kind of thinking and behavior. A lot of us do, and that's why we're having a problem. All right. Guys, ladies, gentlemen, men and women, think on it, read on it, click on it, even if it doesn't look like you.